Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting. Today I'm going to be doing a board game rambling video, and if you haven't seen any of these before, I just take a board game related topic and I just go ramble on about it. And today's topic is about a specific genre of games that I sort of enjoy, that I've explored quite a bit about, and these are roll and write games. And this is a very divisive category of games. A lot of people just don't like roll and writes. They write them off immediately. But you can't deny how popular they are. They Hundreds of these roll and write games come out every single year. It's one of the most it probably is the category, the genre of board games that has the most games come out every single year of it now, I believe, because they're so simple and fast to make, and they just a company can make a roll and write anytime they want. So I just wanted to explore sort of the evolution of roll and writes from the beginning until today. And it kind of started with a very, very popular game that is still very popular, that you and your family, I guarantee you, almost have played this game at some point in your life. That's Yahtzee. And, that is, you're just rolling dice and picking out dice, trying to create certain uh, objectives, like a straight, where you get all the numbers in a row, or a full house, or all of one kind of number, getting the Yahtzee. So it's still sold like crazy today, but that was kind of like the first successful roll and write that I could think of. That I'm pretty sure it was, and that came out, like, I think it was first out in mass production in like the 50s. So it's been around for 70 plus years. It's a very popular game. And there weren't really a lot of roll and writes for a long time. I mean, there was a couple here and there, but nothing to that extent. And and then Quicks, this game Quicks came along, and that kind of was successful as well. And it was another very simple game of rolling dice, marking off certain things on your paper. And I think companies saw the success of Quicks, and they're like, okay, we can make these games, and they started making them. And like I said, they're very simple games, so it didn't take a ton of design ingenuity to create these new games. They usually just took Quicks and put on maybe a little new mechanic, a new little twist, put on a new theme. So it's just a new fresh paint on Quicks, kind of. And so many companies were coming out with these games, and they were just carbon copies of each other, one after the other. And I think that's why so many people don't like roll and writes, because they associate roll and writes with that era of roll and writes, where it was just, they were all just so similar, it doesn't even matter. And to this day, there's still a lot of roll and writes that are like that, that you play it and you're like, yeah, I feel like I've played this game 100 different times in 100 different ways. So yeah, that was kind of how they were at the start of the evolution of roll and writes. And after a while, like I said, they're just carbon copies and carbon copies. And then another game came along that was very popular, that had a lot of success, and that was Gone Sean Clever. And I think this did something. I mean, it's another one of these simple roll and write games, but this did something that I think so many games are copying now. Not even just in the roll and write genre, just in board games in general. They really effectively used combo effects constantly. Like in this game, you're rolling your dice and marking off a section on your paper, and that might let you mark off a different section, which might let you mark off a different section. And you might combo 4 or 5 things with one dice, and it makes you feel good. I like the combo effects in this game, and just in board games in general. I like comboing things like that. That's fun, that's interesting. But so many of these games, I think a lot of roll and writes just copy that out right now, which I'm not mad about. But then, even after that, well, maybe even before that, or sometime, people started making what are known as flip and write games, where they're card-based games, not dice-based games, and you're going to be writing things on your paper based on these cards that show up, these objectives or different things. And it's not just flip and writes either. There's draft and write games like Boomerang. There's a ton of games that use this system, but in different varying ways now. Where a lot of people just refer to this category of games as verb and write games now, because there's cut and writes and stuff like that. There's just a ton of different versions of roll and writes now. And in the last few years now, because for the longest time these were just very, very simple games for the most part. There's a few exceptions here and there, but they're very, very simple games, a couple pages for their rule books. They are starting to come out with these very complex roll and write games now, where they don't feel like these simple games anymore. They feel like these big, heavy Euro style games. Like Hadrian's Wall came out, last year or the year before? Yeah, last year. And it feels like a heavy Euro game. I mean, the rule book is like 30 pages or whatever it is, but it's a big, heavy game that's going to take time. It's going to take investment to learn that game, learn how to play it. But it even copies like the Ganchan Clever combo style game, where you're going to be comboing things, but to even more massive level. But it's a very heavy game. And there's quite a few of these heavier roll and write, flip and write games now. And I mean, a lot of companies are taking their big, heavy games and converting them into roll and write games now, which makes them easier to get to the table even. A good example of this is a game that I've been playing a lot lately, and that's the Dinosaur Island Roll and Write, where they took Dinosaur Island and they converted that into a smaller package, an easier to get to the table flip and write game, or it's actually a roll and write game, and you can get that to the table much, much easier than you could Dinosaur Island, because Dinosaur Island is a huge table hog game. This is a small footprint, and I think it's a little bit easier to get to the table. And a lot of companies are doing that now. There are so many of these roll and write games that used to be a bigger version, a bigger game, and they just converted them into roll and writes. And that's kind of where we're at right now with the roll and write genre. There are still simple roll and write games. There's a lot of them, but I think they're just starting to evolve even more into a bigger, heavier category. And when people say they don't like roll and writes, I think to myself, I think I can find you a game in this genre that you would like. Whether you like simple games, whether you like heavy games, medium games, and whether you like worker placement games or drafting games, there is a game in this genre that I think I could find for you that you would enjoy. And that's pretty much just because there's so many of these games now, but they're so broad now, not like they used to be, where they used to be just a simple little roll and write and they were all so similar. There's a ton of them, and they're so wide. There's not a limit to this category, and that's one thing that I really like about them. I've explored this genre quite a bit over the last few years, and I like a lot of them. A lot of them are trash, but a lot of them are really good. Several of them made it into my top 100 games of all time, even. So it's a category, a genre of games that I enjoy personally. But either way, that's done with this rambling. Sorry I went on a little bit. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. I hope you all have an amazing day. Take care, everyone.